Hello and welcome to Navigating the Chapters of Challenge with Tele. Today I've got my friend, my sister, my buddy. I don't know what to call her. I've known her for so many years, and yeah, I've got Tayo in the house with me today, and we're going to be talking about the topic of cancer and the experience that she went through, and she's just going to give us her own perspective and what she went through. So I'm going to ask, before we start, I'm going to ask Tayo to introduce herself, tell us about herself, what she does and stuff like that, and then we'll take it from there.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I am Tayo. Tayo Uriri. Tayo Ajani Uriri. I am a mom of two adult children. I am a trained teacher in the UK. And due to personal circumstances with illnesses, I've now become supply teacher. I dabble in a lot of health things. I like to dance. I am very bubbly. So I like things that have to do with health, lifestyle. So, but professionally, I'm a teacher.
Okay, yeah. She's been a teacher for many years. So we're just going to dive straight into it. And I'm just going to ask you, Tayo, when did you know that there was something wrong? When did you get the diagnosis of cancer?
This was in 2019. Actually, my son had he had just turned 19. We just had his birthday in January. And I just felt a pain. So to be honest, usually we're told it's a painless lump. So also, I do remember that when my son, who was 19 then, was like about 2 years old, I did ask the nurse, the health visitor, to show me how to check myself, because we do have it in the family. So I do have that experience of checking, because there was this issue of, where is your breast lumpy or is your breast not lumpy? I didn't really know what lumpy was. So I was told that you need to know what normal is. And when you're breastfeeding, it's really lumpy. And I didn't want to be worrying about that. So back forward to 2019, I just did a check, because it was really, so I felt a pain. Like, I thought maybe because I'd done exercise. So I felt a pain in my left breast. So I just thought, oh, okay. So then I told my husband, do you feel something there? He said, yeah, just something. Oh, it's painful. So it was painful. So he said, oh, it's painful. So it's fine. There's nothing. So I said, but I think I should, but I wasn't thinking breast cancer because the lump was painful, but yeah. I'm always careful. So yeah. I just wanted to go and see with a doctor, make an appointment to say, well, I want you to show me that this lump is not painful. It's not not like cancerous. Yeah, it's nothing. Like some people have seen theirs and they have said it was nothing. So I made an appointment. I called. Then I called a friend and she was like, you know what? Stop the calling and waiting. You can't get an appointment. Get up, go. So the day after, because that day, it was the night I found it. And then, so that whole day, because I was calling, and then my mind, to be honest, at that time, thought, it's painful, it's nothing. I'd called another friend. So I waited 2 days later, and then she said, you know what, just get up and go to the surgery. Yeah. So I went there first thing. And as soon as I said, oh, I think I found a lump, he said, do you have family history? And I was like, yes. She just gave me an appointment within an hour. So I just said, you know what, I'll wait and see. So the doctor checked and said, oh, it's usually nothing. That's what they say, but we want to be sure. Yeah. Don't worry about it. Within 2 weeks, you'll get the
diagnosis.
Yeah, no, you will get a letter saying you should come into the hospital to get a mammogram. Okay. Yeah, so because at that time I was 40, that's 29, I was 49. Okay. No. Yeah, I was 49. Wow, okay. So, yeah. So I then checked so they then waited for me, and I got the letter a week before, just within 1 week. I didn't, because my other friend was saying, okay, she'll come and check it. She's a GP, a friend as well. I told other friends, they were like, don't worry about it. Everybody was saying the same thing. How does it feel? Is it painful or is fine? So, but within a week, it wasn't up to 2 weeks. And I am really grateful to that, in Hertfordshire, So I went to the Kiwi 2, which is the hospital, the breast clinic there in Hertfordshire. And yeah, they said, oh, come in for a mammogram. So I went in for a mammogram. And as soon as, well, if everyone has had the mammogram, you get the iron press, which is...
That is a horrible thing.
Yes. Yeah.
It's painful.
Especially when you don't have a lot to give in there. And they're pressing and they're saying... But the thing that happened was something like breast milk came out.
Oh.
And and I mean, my son was 19, so we stopped breastfeeding since. So I thought, oh, breast milk. And I told the lady, she said, don't worry. Yeah, they're very good at assuring you.
Yeah.
But something just changed in me when I saw that breast milk come out during the mammogram. So then I waited, and then they said, okay, waiting for a deep core, because I was just supposed to do a mammogram and go away. But I think because they had seen that, I don't know what happened, but it changed immediately. So I waited for 5 minutes, and they said, wait for a deep core. So I had to have an incision where they took part of the lump to be sure. Okay. And they said, okay, we'll call you, we'll give you a phone call, and then you get a text saying you should come. So instead, I didn't get a text, I didn't get a phone call. I got I got a phone call, but it wasn't from the doctor or the nurses. It was from the receptionist saying I should come in. Okay. And please, would I like to come in with someone? So yeah, I knew. So, and my husband was teaching. He's also a teacher at that moment. So I didn't want to worry him. So I just called a friend to say, let's go.
Okay.
And so it took in between, yeah. So the moment I actually knew was the mammogram and the fluid, like breast milk coming out. Yeah, so that was, yeah.
So when they told you that it was actually cancer, how did you feel, especially knowing that there was a history of it in the family?
It was surreal, to be honest. It didn't sink in. Okay. And because my friend does not drive, I was driving. I drove there, and I didn't want to disturb anyone. I was just that kind of person that would carry everything. So I was like, okay, I was thinking of my children. Rather than thinking of myself, I was thinking of my children. I was thinking of my husband. I was thinking, I don't want them to worry. I was thinking. So to be honest, when I was told that, and the doctor was like, oh, I'm so sorry to say. To be honest, I prepared myself. Within a week, I kind of knew. I started reading books, and I called my sisters then. Yeah, that made me strong. And I was like, they were more scared than me. And my elder sister was like, right, I'm coming. I'm like, no, don't come. Let's get a decision first. So because I had that time to prepare, I didn't break down or anything. To be honest, it didn't. So when my friend was there, she was looking at me. I said, yeah, they said it's bad. And so she was like, then she saw that I was being brave. And so she wanted to be brave for me, which was kind of funny looking back now. So I drove home. And it was when I drove home, I then called my son who was in university then and said, this is what they had said. I said, oh, I'm coming home. Then I called my younger one and said, Dad is not going to know how to cope with this. Yeah. Yes. So then the night before, then I spoke to my sisters and we were making preparations. So what do you want to do? We're going that was when I broke down and I really did cry. Because I couldn't believe that my mom had gone through all that, sisters had gone through all that, and then, and I was going through
the same thing.
Yes, so it did take a while. I'm that kind of person, it just take a while to sing. But when it sank deep.
Deep. Okay. Yeah. How did your husband react when he eventually heard it?
Because he was so shocked. Because I had not told him when I came back, because I didn't want, because I felt he was going to be disappointed that he didn't come with me, but I didn't want, because teaching is hard, and he was going through some things there in teaching. So it took and the boys were like, Dad's not going to be able to take this. Yeah. So to be honest, I didn't know how to tell it to him, because he was like, oh, you're fine, and he was like an optimist. He is an optimist, and so it took a while, and I told another friend who came in, and he was worse than me. He broke down. I was like, you better not be crying, because I need to be strong. Yeah, so he broke. I was like, what are you doing? Did they say I'm dead? I'm not dead. So what are you doing? So when I'm dead, is this how you're going to cry? I just kind of made jest of it, so that was it. That was the worst of it, to be honest. And I think he then pulled himself together. Because I needed to break down, and I didn't want it to be both of us breaking down at the same time.
So
yeah.
Okay. So going on from then, what was the next stage? What happened next?
Yeah, so the next stage was to come in, see the oncologist, and they were going to tell me what was going to go on and all the treatment I was going to have. And yeah, so by then I done all the crying, I done all the, yeah, and because this was 2019 before COVID. So yeah, so they told me in January, my son had just done his birthday and it was beginning of the year. People are still saying
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, all people. And I just kept quiet. I was really into myself. What's really going on? What am I going to do? So I just thought about it. I thought my son is in uni, the other one's too young. I can't be thinking of death. However, when I got to the hospital to see the oncologist, so I had an oncologist, a breast care nurse, and they are wonderful in Hertfordshire. To be honest, I don't know any other place that I can compare with, but when it comes to breast cancer, they were really good, and they were very understanding. They would wait and listen to you. And I don't know, I just took a liking to my doctor. So anyway, so she said, oh, so these are the things. So here's the thing. However, you can die. So what it is it's a very aggressive one. They then told me what it was, aggressive, HER2, things like that. And then I realized I was doing something. I was just taking it in like I was watching TV.
Okay.
I didn't really
let it sink in.
Yeah, it didn't sink in. I don't know. I think my body just kicked in to defend me. I don't know what really, to be honest. I'm not sure how that, because later on now, looking back and all that, there's something that was like, really? I went through all that. Yeah. So anyway, so they told me all the options, and it is really nice to have sisters that they're all abroad and not around, but the technology was good, so we had a meeting and all that. But yeah, the thing was like, go and have the mastectomy. Mom was, mom was too late to do hers. It spread because we had already had down. It's not going to happen to us again, and my sister and all that. And so my sister who had survived, I was like, I thought we could talk, but yeah, things had changed. Every time things change for breast cancer. So I would say I looked at what was out there, and that's what I did. So, yeah, so they gave me all the options, and they said, go and choose. And because I'm such a vast reader, I read all the options and everything like that. And yeah, that was the time I told some aunties who on my mother's side. And social media, if you take chemotherapy, you're going to die. If you do this, you're going to die. So I then called friends and people that were medical. Medical people knew what they were doing. I was like, and then I was into, you're a doctor. What do you do? What exactly? So I talked to oncologists. I talked to breast care nurses. They are the best people to talk to because they've met people who, So I talked to the breast care nurse said, Tayo, take everything. You see this doctor? She asked who was my doctor. I told her I was doctor. Apparently, she's one of the best in the whole of the UK. Okay. Dr. Miss Dior. And she said, she says anything, take it. But the doctor wasn't saying, she was saying, these are your options. So I then asked her.
She didn't tell you what to take.
They don't tell you. They tell you these are your different options. What route do you want to do? So I said, what's best for me? He said, this works, this works, this works. These are the side effects. So I read all of them and I said, whatever's going on, give it to me. Okay. So I took everything from the tablets. So they gave me a tablet to stop because it was very aggressive. It could move very fast. And by the time I was going to do the treatment, she said, I have to also consider that I shouldn't teach anymore. Because my immunity was going to go down, and because I was teaching children, because I'm a primary teacher, that really broke me in a way. Because if someone says, "Who are you?" I always like to say, I'm "Teaching." I'm a teacher. It's not a profession to me; it's part of who I am. So that I couldn't teach anymore or things like that. That wasn't. So I thought, okay, I'll just blank it out. So I thought, okay, I'm on a 1 year holiday. So they told me it was going to take 7 years. They tell you straight away.
7 years.
It was going to take the treatment. Yeah, it's going to take 7 years on average, things like that. And then, so then they tell you reality as well. You could die. And so,
They actually tell you that.
Yeah, they tell you that. They tell you to prepare your wheel, to prepare things, And the good thing is that it's not like an accident and then you go out and you're dead. There is no, so look at the upside. And that was one thing I learned from my mom. If you're asking, how did I cope? I think is always looking for the right side of things. I've always done that.
Yeah.
Not a delusional side. That's different.
Okay.
I knew I was going to have this treatment, but I was like, okay, you've got breast cancer. However, it's better than an accident and you died. So even if I'm going to die, I've got time to put myself in order, to put my stuff in order. So that was one thing. And then, to be honest, like I was telling you, there was a friend who said, at least yours can be cut off. Because that was the issue, like, oh, you're going to get your breast cut off at 20. That kind of thing. I really used to take pride in that. I didn't look my age. I was, took care of myself and things like that. And now you're going to have part of who you are being cut off. I thought that was until she had... it's something to do with the throat. The cancer was in the throat. Do you cut off the throat? No. So I really prayed. I told God to forgive me. That was so, because I was like, how ungrateful was I? That's how I felt, to be honest. And I was like, I was so ungrateful. At least this is something that can be cut off. What's the big deal about being cut off? Can the neck be cut off? No. And, so we gathered round her. And I realized that gathering around people, and then people started telling me theirs. Because people that I didn't know they were living with issues were feeling comfortable telling me because they felt I could now understand
what they were going through.
But guess what? The unexpected thing was, I found that helping people took away mine.
Okay.
So it took away the worry, it took away everything, So I dived into talking to other people. This is what I've been diagnosed with. I'm going to tell people, So right from the onset, I was telling people, and my husband was like, you shouldn't tell. I said, no, it helps me, So I didn't see it like I was helping other people. So even then I went to church and I was telling people, because then I noticed that people actually asked me, like you said, and I was like, I thought people just know how it's a lump. I said, no, how did you feel? What was it? And, so even the doctor was writing notes down because they then added one of the symptoms because they were like, oh, painless lump. I said no.
Because that had always been what I had known. If it's painless, then that's when you need to worry. If it's painful, then no need to worry.
Yep,
now you're saying this is a bit like,
yes,
oh my God,
it was painful.
It's different.
Yeah. So they added one of the symptoms that if you find that you have like breast milk when you're not breastfeeding is another issue, So that was an added one to it because people were speaking. So I then found that, wow, people are not speaking until they feel you're in their shoes. So that was when I then, with that time we had not formed a group or anything like that. I was just into the treatment. So I went through the route of chemotherapy. At that time, the choice, it's been a while, so I have to recall, the choice was to do the tablets for 3 months, and then I'll have chemotherapy for about 6 months. So it will start first. There was one set. They said that was like the mild one, and they were talking about the hair. It's funny now because the list of my problem was losing my hair, but then they wanted to help you, and they said, oh, there's this experiment where you could make your cold cap and all those things. And I was still thinking about the hair and all that. So I did the first treatment. My sister came down straight away from Nigeria. We went night clubbing. We went night clubbing.
Why night clubbing?
Because we like to dance, and you don't really have somewhere to say, okay, let's go and dance. So we went to this Afrobeat. Yeah, Afrobeat was good because it's the cheerful, upbeat thing.
Okay.
So so that was why we did that. So we just went, and my sisters were like, how is she? Oh, she's fine. She's dancing. So, Taya's fine. She's dancing. I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. So sometimes it helps you. And my hair had not gone away that time. And I got another friend who made everything. She was like, what do you want? I'm doing it. If this is the last time you're going to have hair. So yeah, I did something that would dance all over the place. So I remember that, and we took pictures and everything. But yeah, 2 weeks later, back to earth, because the whole thing just was on my pillow.
Your hair?
Yeah, my hair was on my pillow.
How did you feel when that happened?
Oh, Lord, I was like, your children are around, let them go to school, let them go to school. I kept thinking about them, my children. So they went, and I cried. I have not cried like that for so long. But guess what? Like I said, I got this habit of, knowing how to find the good thing. Oh gosh, I'd not slept as nice as that after. I slept so well after the crying because I
I
kept
think you let
holding
out
it.
everything that
Oh
was in
gosh.
you.
But there was, and no one could hear me. I shut the windows and I did all the crying I could. And then I felt better. And then I slept, then I called another, then they give you a number, you could call the nurse, there was this Nigerian nurse and she was so good. And she said, Tayo, you know what, just cut your hair. You don't want to see it falling each time, trying, because it was in patches. It will drop into one place or the other. So she just said, just cut it. So I just went, okay, you know what? I just got scissors and cut it. I was like, well, I cut my hair when I was in secondary school, so why not? I cut it really low. And guess what? Everywhere I went, I kept seeing women with low cut, bald hair. It became in fashion. I didn't know. I thought everyone knew
So you
I was
started a
ill.
trend then.
I don't know if I started it. It was just, how it
something
is
you
that when you do
noticed,
something and then all of a sudden you're noticing it all around you. Because then I'd prepared, I'd even told a friend, get me wigs from Nigeria, get me scarves, everything. I put on the wig. I couldn't even stand it on my head. I was like, oh my goodness, I didn't know. Because friends had gathered around, they got me loads of wigs, they had supported. And there was another friend, even we had this get together where they were teaching me how to put on eyelash. I think it took a picture. That's your husband even. He commented where I was like, okay, eyelash. Because they tell you your hair. It's not just the one on your head. It's everything, everywhere.
Oh.
No, and I never knew the difference between how your face looks when you have eyelashes,
And when
lashes, and when you don't, or eyebrow. It's so much of a difference. I learned not to...
I never thought about that.
Yeah, I learned not to look down on people who... because I would be like, what's the big deal? Why are they doing makeup all the time? That humbled me. It humbled me so much. Makeup it has its own...
place,
if it's for... Because then I went into how you put eyebrow that will not come off.
Okay.
So I was looking into those things. Some people were talking of tattoo. I was like, no, we're not going there. So, so those were the things. So I did the treatment of the chemotherapy and then I had a lumpectomy. They said, oh, it was nice. It's a new thing that's going on. You can just take out the lump and that's it that you have to do. And then you do radiotherapy. So I just was like, I just trusted everything she said. Because all I did was research her. I did research, asked around. And I just went with how I don't know what to go. Yeah. There was just this thing, like our spirit was just in sync with each other. I just could trust her. Sometimes you can't trust all medical people. I just knew she was. And funny enough, she said she was the only one that was a doctor, that her sisters and everybody were teachers.
Okay.
So she understood the pressure of teaching in the UK and all that. So anyway, I was like, we'll do that. So I did a lot of chemotherapy and there's some that your nails get black and fall off. Your fingernails fall off and all of those things. But how was I dealing with it? I started to dance and in a year, COVID hit.
Yeah.
And I'm saying it online now. Misery does like company because everybody was at home with me now. And people were like, so I didn't mind.
So you didn't feel it too much?
I didn't feel as lonely as in 2019. So I was doing the chemo, I'd done the lumpectomy, then Christmas, I was going to Cambridge every day. You had to go every day for radiotherapy. So I did that. Skin gets burnt. But I went into looking at shea butter.
Okay.
I started looking at because your skin gets really dry and itchy, and there's so many things. I started reading about things, and most of all this formula had shea butter in it.
Yeah.
Then I started reading about Body Shop, and I noticed, I was like, you know what, get it for me. But what was the main thing? The smell. So I was like, okay, I'm going to look into how to not get the smell, keep everything into it. So that's when I started making all that. And I thought, okay, I'll sell it. But I know that was one other time I found that was not my selling was not. Selling wasn't my calling. However, I had loads of ideas. I was going to creams. I made so many different things. I looked at herbs, how they could help. And that's when I started growing aloe vera, that it could grow in the UK. I started looking at things like that. So,
Before we go into all of that, we're still going to come back to the herbs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I want you to talk us through your dancing. How did the dancing help you? Because I know you love to dance and you're nightclubbing.
Yes.
You're the only one who will go to a nightclub when you've got that kind of diagnosis. But how did the dancing help? How did it? Because I know they say things like that improve the mood. And how did it improve your mood?
Yes.
What did it do for you?
The thing is, okay, I wouldn't say, people that know me from childhood, your husband knows I was a dancer. I did all kinds of dancing and that was nice. But you know, as you grow up and you leave all those things and you think it's childish. And so that was my link back into no worries, you know, like I wanted to connect to that person, the Tayo that had no worries, that just, you know, so music was it. And there's no way, when you've got music in you, you move. So that was it. And I'm also very hyper. So yeah, so I knew that and that was the coming of Afrobeat as well. So things just came into place. So I thought, okay, now you're Christian. And then I went and announced I was in a nightclub and they were like, okay, we'll forgive her because that's her therapy. But I wanted people to come with me.
Yeah.
So, and in school, I was good at being the person who would choreograph the, you know, the
Christmas plays
yeah,
and stuff like that,
the dance, the actual dance. So I could listen to, like, I liked Onyeka a lot. I could listen to it and then put action into it and all that. And because I also did education in Nigeria, there was an aspect that you choose. You choose so I chose dance drama because honestly, that was I wanted to be into theater arts. It was just, you know how it is in Nigeria. There's no money, there's no job. Don't do that. It's not for girls and all those things. So yeah. But teaching was another thing where someone told me, you can bring all your gifts into teaching. That's really why I like teaching, because you can be anything. You can be a dancer and be a teacher. You can be anything. You bring it into teaching. So yeah, so I put that, and I used to teach about drums. So that just put me in another world. You have to be a dancer to just understand exactly what I'm talking about. Dancing took away my shyness. Yeah, people would say, yeah, tired shy. Yeah. I was on stage and I just transformed into something else. That's when I used to do that in school, secondary school. So I started writing, I journaled and remembered things like that. So I thought, okay, I want to show this. I want to help people who are depressed and all that. So I started so I just got Spotify, got some music and say, okay, right. I looked at some other dances and it would be like 1, 2, 3, 4. And I thought, no, but when we used to dance, it was the song that gave us a certain step. Yeah. That even with memory, it helps. So I started reading how it helps with memory and all that. And I thought, no, I want to do something different. I want to listen to the whole music and use the music to do the steps. Okay. Not that to say, right. So I choreographed it and there was COVID. So I thought, okay, we'll use it for, I think our university alumni was doing something. I said, okay, I'll use that to raise money. And loads of women were like, you know, I just feel down. I've just been sitting down for a long time. I don't want to run. I don't want to do this. Okay, so let's dance. And it was another way that women just forgot who they were. Yeah. They were not shy. I said, that's one thing that I'm not shy at all when I'm dancing. It's not, there could be a crowd. I just didn't see it. So we started with music and there were like 5 of us and then we did, so I started doing, then I called it Simple Steps. It was first Simple Steps with Tayo. Then I would put it on, I would say, what do you think we should call it with Zumba? So I said Zumba Simple Steps or Simple Steps with Tayo. So yeah.
Stepping with Tayo.
Stepping with Tayo. I just wanted it simple. Then people said, oh, I don't like line dance, it's too complicated. So I said, I promise you it's just going to be 4 steps, come with me. And people who were like, oh, you shouldn't dance, were doing it. And they were so happy. You know, so even people that were not ill were doing that. And that was part of their, and you know, all the
therapy kind of.
It was, yeah. So to be honest, it wasn't just the dancing, it was that I brought the dancing to help people. It was just like a by thing that I found that, oh, yeah, I was getting on and people were like, oh, you're so positive. And like, you don't know the half of it. I'm not positive. You're just finding out that it helps me put myself away when I'm helping others. And people were looking forward to it. It was like a friend would be like, oh, I've not danced we have to set on. So I did it through Zoom. So we did Simple Steps. And yeah, that's how it went on. And then there was a friend who was like, when COVID started going down, we started doing it in the park.
Yeah.
So we would go to the park. Yes, we went to the park.
I remember watching recordings he would send me there.
Yeah, they will record
Clips.
Yes, it was another friend that just thought because she had lupus, and she would go for a walk, and we would walk and everything. And she said, "You know what? We'll talk and all that. We just need something to just." And she said, "Let's do it in the park. Why not?" So I was like, "Okay, maybe there'll be other people. You know, people. How many people wants to come to the park?" So we just put it up and say, "Join us at so." Sometimes there were 3 of us, and sometimes there were 30. You know, so yeah, we started doing that as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
That was good. So yeah, that's how that came out.
So let's talk about the herbs now, because I know that you've gone into researching herbs and how they can help with dealing with the side effects of cancer, how they can help people to recover and stuff like that. Can you just talk to us about it?
So one of the side effects was I used to react so violently to one of the chemo, because I had one for 6 weeks, which every 3 weeks. So I would get better, and then I'm like, I start getting depressed towards the time when I'm about to go in, because as soon as it's coming into my body, I start throwing up violently, and so I had to use steroids. They had to give me steroids, and that made me even I didn't like how I was looking. I didn't like how I was feeling, because I wanted to eat all the time. So it went to not feeling like eating. I saw that danger. There were people who actually had to be taken off this treatment because it was very intense to not. So I was looking into it, and then I remembered about, because to be honest, my mom, if you remember, she's always had this planting things and all that. And then I was told that my grandfather, who was my mom's dad, went into knew about herbs, and I was really interested in that from time, but I never thought to help me or develop it.
Yeah.
But when first it started with the aloe vera, because I just wanted something to mix with the shea butter, and then I started looking at, I didn't want to use anything so I started looking at oranges to take away the shea butter smell.
Yeah.
Then I started looking at oranges. Why is it that it smells different when it is, Then a friend said, "Oh, I have essential oils." So I started thinking, what does this do? So from reading about it, I found out that, oranges are herbs. You could, the oil in the skin, you could drink it and you feel better. So I started looking into things that would make you not lose your appetite and not lose the taste. That's another thing. Yeah, all taste went. My tongue was black. So I needed something to make me enjoy food. If I was going to eat, I might as well enjoy it. There was this day I just went out and bought biscuits and chocolates and everything, because as I was eating, I was throwing up and doing the number 2, everything. It was really terrible. So I thought, okay, I'll look for the good side in it. It means I'm not going to add weight. So it means I get to eat ice cream and not worry about it. The doctor laughed but she said there's a side effect though. So I then read about the problems of sugar, but it made me happy. So I started looking at what was the natural thing. And then I remembered with my dad, then I said, oh, there's this fruit. Apparently it's called miracle fruit. So that's what set it off. And it's called agbanyu. Actually, if you Google agbanyu, it's now called miracle berry. It's a berry that you lick and everything you taste tastes nice. One thing that takes it off is toothpaste.
Okay.
So that I was thinking, wow, this is something that in my child, no one sold it. Actually, fruit sellers had it beside them so that they could sell their oranges, because you drank it and you were like, you would
the orange
they
was
would
tasty.
give you.
Oh,
They would give you,
that's
yes.
fraud.
Oh, please, it's not. You're happy. They're selling happiness. They sold
selling
all of this. No orange was sour. So at first I was like, no way it was this tiny fruit. You could be drinking lemons and it was not sour. It was nice. So I told my dad, I need to get this thing. And then my sister went to Ilorin. Then I found how a lot of these things are going out extinct. So I thought, I wonder what else is out there that can help. Reading it, I then saw that they had turned it in America into a tablet, which they call it miracle berry. One tablet was going for $50. One tablet was going for $50. So I looked at it and then I saw that actually it could help with chemotherapy. So I said, Dad, you have to bring this thing because it's helping. So they went, everybody go and search for agbanyu for my daughter. She's going through chemotherapy. It helps. So, yeah, that was So that fruit made me start looking at, if there's one, there are many.
There must be other things.
There were many. And amazing thing that someone said, I started joining on Facebook, herbal people. I didn't just want to join like African people. I wanted to see what's going on in other cultures. Because what I notice is it might just be, there's a variety of something in every culture. I then started, because I'd been planting as well, I then found that, because sometimes like my youngest sister would say, tell me the version of it that is in Nigeria. I don't want to start feeling bad. I can't find it, you know. And then I found that like basil, you know, there's ephedrine. So I started finding, okay, the good things that are there, what's here? Everything that is in one place has its own, it's somewhere. You just have to look.
Or something that can substitute for it somewhere else. Yeah.
And that's how I went into herbs. Okay. And only for me to be told, oh, you're doing your grandfather's work. I was like, oh, okay, really? So my aunties had told me there was an exercise book. Then my other aunties, they were like, oh, then they started seeing that I was interested. So people, when they know you're interested, people just send things and you have to do research because you need to remove the myth from reality. There's a lot of myth.
Yeah. So what herbs have you, apart from the one you've mentioned, what other herbs have you found? What other things?
Oh Lord. Okay, so now I'm going to go into my let me go into my, because I started making notes and okay, so let's go into herbs. So there's so many different things. So okay, so there was one I actually told one of the pharmacists, and because mine was an estrogen that fed the cancer. So they were looking for estrogen. And I had gone through menopause a year before. So I was thinking, how menopause is supposed to be that you have no estrogen. So what estrogen is feeding this cancer? What am I using? So the tablet, I used everything until when I started getting better. I had another, I did have a recurrence, but I blanked it out. So I had a recurrence and then I had a full mastectomy.
Okay.
Yeah. And actually, before we call to herbs, I would like to say, because that's one of the things that women were looking at and there are options out there. I want to say, because people don't know, you think that sometimes it's just, you just have a mastectomy. Of course, people know that there are options, as in maybe you have an implant, but there's so many options now. I'm sure even now there's probably better than mine.
Yeah.
There are options where you can have the implant of like what's it called? The plastic that's very nice. I forgot what it's called. The one that people don't react to. Yeah. Oh, I'm trying to.
Latex?
You use it latex. Thank you.
I just said that.
Yes.
Random word.
It's latex. So there's the latex or which you don't react to, and people were like, "Oh, but it would leak," you know, all those things, and people did that with. So there's latex. Then what people don't know is they can use your own flesh.
Okay.
So it's a reconstruction. But the the downside to that is you have to make up your mind before, not that you can't say, okay, I'm going to have an operation, come back, because they need the skin in there. Okay. And they are excellent specialists. So yeah, I had that done, people like 4 professionals. Okay. And so yeah, I have to, I'm not one of those. I can never look down on the NHS. I'm sorry for that, because I am so grateful for having all of that done on the NHS and at the best top hospitals. Because during COVID, you were in private hospitals. And guess what? With the private hospitals, they didn't even have the specialists. When there was a problem with mine, they had to take me back to the general hospital, which was much better. So I would say, if you are in the UK, please take everything, the NHS. When it comes to specialist things, all the specialists are there because they train from there before they even go to their private hospitals. Do you see? Yeah. So that's one thing I don't want to leave aside, because there are options, and there are some that would make no difference. You know, you could do tattoos, you could put the nipple back. There's so many options that it shouldn't have to be that it's, because that was my history, which you probably know of. My mom delaying, thinking about, but because the option you had was just to take away. That was it. And that's your womanhood. It is important. It is. Even hair was important, but that was the list of my to be honest, not really. I'm not putting it down, because I understand when it's a big issue with other women. Everybody has what is, but it's just that I grow hair easily. So and a friend said, you have a nice shape of head. So so to be honest, I did wonder what it would look like with bald head. So I didn't even wear wigs or all those. But that option of Yeah, there is out there and ask.
Okay.
You have to ask. So before we go back to the herbs.
Okay.
So I'll go to the
we'll
herbs.
Go to the herbs now.
Yeah. So let's go to my notes. I've got notes here. Okay, so I had to start it because my eldest sister, she was there like a mom because we lost our mom. My mom died at 56 from breast cancer. So things like that, I always feel, okay, so here's the positive thing of me. I'm like, okay, fine, my mom died at 56, but what are we going to learn from that? I must not die at 56. It has to be that I have to learn from her. What did she do? What are the things that she did? What am I going to do more? So to me, as far as I'm concerned, my mom died so we don't have to die. So that was it. And that thing was there to make us take it seriously. So which is why when the doctors were talking about that, it was nothing to me, to be honest. It was just... I was grateful for it because I had to face the fact that, look, if I'm going to go through chemo and all those things and take the risk, despite, with COVID, all kinds of things started coming up on WhatsApp and things like that, how people did it and died and all those. So I always say, if you're in a country where there's a choice, please take all the medicines before you go to herbs. I take all the medicines. I don't want anyone saying, oh, Taya just did herbs. No. I did it as well as and I made sure I was well first. Like what you said, you don't like to take something new when it's in the night, because if you react, what do? You have to take it gently. So I did all the treatments, and these herbs only happened like 3 years after. Of course, the other ones, like I started looking for what will not make me throw up, but I took all the steroids and all that. It wasn't the best. My skin wasn't the best, but I was trying to, wherever there was a gap, that's where I filled in with herbs. It was never don't take the tablets, take herbs instead. So no, please do not do that. And sometimes even take the herbs one at a, because we're all different.
And again, to add this, to chip this in, this is just your experience. It's different for everybody.
Exactly. I'm not medical. I'm not even a herbalist. Well, my grandfather was. I did study. Well, I did take courses in, because how it affects, because we were open to going to, is it Dr. Thomas? He wrote a book about how to live well with cancer. So I started getting involved in functional medicine. I looked at most of the people that did podcasts about functional medicine. And I thought about what they were talking about, strawberries, things like that. So it's things that you've been eating before. However, you're not eating it as food now. You're eating it as medicine. So there was actually a podcast called Food is Medicine. I followed all of it. And at the end of the day, I made my own notes, sat down, based on research, and did what worked for me. For you. So at the end of the day, you can't say, oh, this worked for Tayo. But one thing I would recommend for everybody is positivity. Positivity helps so much. Whatever, even if they call it delusion or denial, at that time, you need it. You have to be positive. You have to look at the bright side. That is not the same as being in denial. It means, for example, they told me, oh, you've got breast cancer. Yeah, I've got breast cancer, but at least it's breast cancer. It can be cut off. It's not the one that can't be cut off in the neck. How do you deal with that? Do you see that's what I'm saying? Not that I say, oh, in Jesus' name, I don't have breast cancer. Because I did have some people who would say, oh, you come to my church and you can pray for you, and you pray it away. And I said, you're committing suicide, because you're making people not, but there are some people who would say, what are you doing? Let's pray for you with what you're doing. That, yes, because prayer and action works together. That I followed. But the one, oh, you can come to my church and there is this water or things like that. No, we're not doing that. So, So, what are the herbs? Let's see. Healing herbs. Let's see if I can just, because, gosh, I've done this over since 2019 now. That's been how many years? 2019.
That's
we
a long
collected.
time now.
So, healing herbs. Let's see. Healing. Let me get to my selection of healing herbs. Healing. Okay, so I should have got this down. I didn't know you were going to ask me some of these things. So health steps for life. Have a plant-based, So, okay, so you'll be surprised. I'm going to say things like, I got coriander, parsley, basil, curry leaves, cumin, and fennel.
Fennel. Okay.
Yeah. Now, people were like you asked
What
me.
about bay leaves?
Wait, let's get to bay leaves first.
Okay.
That's a different one. These ones are things that are used in cooking.
Okay.
Do you know you could just put hot water and drink it as tea?
Okay.
Because tea is a herb.
Yeah.
So bay leaf started with my sister who had survived breast cancer saying, did you know that we can drink bay leaf and da. And we were sitting under a tree, which I just knew that once it was cut down, smelled nice. I did not know it was bay leaf. Mm-hmm. So these are where the spiritual comes in. And somebody had said, do you know that all of a sudden when the things that you need, the herbs that you need come to you? You know, this is the spiritual part. And I had a bay leaf tree.
In your house?
In my house. And and it was one of the things. But I must say, we did it the way my sister had said it. I drank it. I was fine. I felt good. My husband took it and threw up. And so I went and checked, why is that happening? Apparently, bay leaf it can take out some things, the toxins in you, and it can come out two ways. Well, we both know, either the mouth or the other way. Oh. So that's how bay leaf started. And then I had a whole tree, which were there when we bought the house, but we used to cut it down. So I started with that. I started looking, okay, how can I help other people? Yeah. You know, especially with COVID and all that. And then there was this other teacher. She has family from Ireland, British lady. Only 2 of us had not had COVID. During COVID, we were teaching and going back. I was gradually going back into teaching. And what did we have together in common? Bay leaves. She had a bay leaf tree and she was drinking bay leaf. I thought, oh, this thing must be doing something. So I started researching in that. Okay. So,
Okay, what else?
Yeah. Bay leaf, nettle. Yeah, stinging nettle.
Okay.
Yes, stinging nettle. Rosemary. Those things, yes, rosemary, nice.
So all of them you drink as tea?
I drink them as tea.
Hibiscus? What about hibiscus?
Hibiscus. I can't do with a hibiscus. Hibiscus was great for the skin.
Okay.
It reduces, like I had some of the side effects was like you just get depressed. You wake up and then there's anxiety from depression and then pains in the bones because of the letrozole you have to use. Because taking away all the estrogen that you had in you. So gradually, I started asking, which one can I? So what had happened, because I want to be careful with this, with the letrozole was when I had an operation, because I had the reoccurrence and I had another operation. So I had about 3 operations. So towards 1 week before, the doctor would say, stop all your medications because of the interaction with the, why is it gone away from my head? The thing that you take for sleeping. Tell me what is, like it puts you out. Yeah, it puts you out. So it could interact with that and you might not wake up. Okay. So that's what with bay leaf as well. So I stopped all those. Okay. And then when I stopped the tablets as well, which I was supposed to be taking, I found the pain had gone, everything had gone. But I was scared. I just wanted something else. So that's why I was using herbs. Okay. So then she saw that I was looking good. She said, oh, my skin's looking good. Why? And the skin healed so well. So that's when I actually was able to tell them about shea butter as well. Yeah. Shea butter with aloe vera, So then I said, oh, I was drinking the tea and then I shared it because it's a long process. You all sit down like in a parlor and you're taking your treatment. So then I'd finished the chemo and the radiotherapy. I had, it's hormone therapy was called. So you do go in and make a lot of friends. I made a lot of elderly friends because they're like, you're too young to be here. People are getting younger and younger, because I was 49, So, and these ladies were, because then they were told it's an old lady's illness, so it was like, so I was making friends with people that were in their 80s. We'll paint our nails because it was black. We just made ourselves happy. And so I shared the tea because they brought in ginger was one thing that would actually stop, being nausea. Yeah. So I said, I would like it not in the biscuits. So we did make an impact because we were like, we don't want people giving us biscuits and chocolates anymore. Please give us this tea. So we brought it. So I brought it and I gave it to them. I said, we want this tea. Yeah. And that was making everybody feel better and the throwing up and all the pain. So hibiscus is then I found out that it was called surreal with other people and I could bring it and zobo in Nigeria. Oh man, I shipped the whole bag. Yeah. Oh yes, I shipped the whole sack, and I had one that could help me for. So then I thought, okay, I've got bay leaf, I've got hibiscus. How do you do that? So I've got a tea which I call teas triple T. Yeah, I think you had that.
Yeah.
And I had a combination of bay leaf, hibiscus, and at first, because the first
rosemary?
thing, no, it was lavender I got.
Yeah.
So because I had it around me, I used lavender first. Then I checked lavender makes you feel sleepy.
Yeah.
So that's why we were really at ease. But then you're going to work, you don't want that.
You don't want that.
So, and I had called it triple T. So there had to be 3 things. So I took the lavender out and then had rosemary. Then I found that rosemary was good for your brain. It took out anxiety. I was like, these are all the things I need. So I started growing them. Wow. So most of the time, the herbs we planted. So that was the combination.
Wow. And I have had that tea. It's really nice. Triple tea or whatever it's called. It's really nice. I can recommend it for anyone. We're fast coming to the end of the show. And I just wanted to refer to my notes because there was something you talked to me about, which I want you to elaborate on. There's a group called the Reform Advisory Group.
Yeah.
Can you talk to us about that a bit?
Okay.
I think it will help people.
Yes. So what had happened was that, so I started getting involved with getting to have friends with people who had breast cancer. And so this lady who had recurrence 3 times then got in touch with me that there was this forum that we were just going to ask. It had something to do with why Black women especially seem to have breast cancer. Well, okay, the saying was that white women tended to have breast cancer more. However, when Black women had breast cancer, it was always aggressive, and then there were times when between the time when they've done your treatment, because obviously when you're on NHS, between the time they've started your treatment to when you actually had the operation, it had progressed and some of them had spread. That was a long time before they got all the new tablets and all that could hold it. So they were trying to, and then they found out that women were not really going for their mammogram.
Okay.
And then we were talking, so we had this talk and we were like, well, look at me. I was called for mammogram at 50. So I'd already been diagnosed with breast cancer at 49, even 48, because actually I had not turned 49 because that was in January and my birthday was in May. So I remember it was because, they were right 48. So at 48, and you're waiting to invite me at 50. So what's happening? So obviously I didn't go. I was annoyed, to be honest, because I remember when I was trying to get this and it wasn't done. So that reform was listening to women. So we had a gathering of women who had breast cancer, and we had somebody as young as 28.
Wow.
Yes, she had breast cancer. She just had a baby and had breast cancer in the UK. Yeah. So she got in touch with me and I was like, oh, how do you deal with your hair? So we're talking about hair. I was like, please, if you've got a nice shape of hair, just shave it and just wear nice scarves and all. And we were like, tattoo the head and all. So that was it. So I then called her. So you know how women call each other. And so that was it. So we started with that. And then from that group saying about what our experiences were, just trying to get to the minds of people, of Black women. And we're like, we need it to be less. At least if you had it in the family, we need it to be at 40. I think it's now 40. I'm not sure. You're invited for a mammogram if you want a mammogram. But before, if you're not 50, you're not invited for a mammogram. So we said about the being invited for a mammogram at 40, we need it to be recommended. Then what's causing it? What are so number one, stress is in between. So people need to know how to,
diffuse the stress,
prioritize life over stress, because we thought, it's part of life. It's not. And then I listened to a lot of things and said lifestyle. This is why. So I said, stop looking at exercising, because I must talk about this. Exercising, diet, watching. I don't want to call it dieting. Eating clean, like one of my friends would say, eating clean. Clean eating is different for different people. So eat clean, and it impacts on how well you even get breast cancer. And also when you get it, or if you get it, how well you recover. I think, so even though people say positivity, it helps with dancing, it helps. However, you need a drastic lifestyle change and one that works for you. No one can tell you how to do that because that definitely helped. I remember reading about exercise, and there was a program that they did with people who side effects. They were men actually that had prostate cancer, and so I would walk to the hospital for 1 hour, 1 hour walk, and I realized that taking the chemo and taking all of that, I felt much better. And they're like, "You're gonna walk home?" Yeah. I took my step one at a time and walked home. The only place, obviously, I couldn't walk to Cambridge. So, so I drove. So, so change lifestyle. So we talked about that. So this advisory group was taking notes and putting things that, because they were pharmacists actually talking about why people aren't taking their letrozole. So, by my 5th year, I took the letrozole. I then talked to my doctor about reducing, because the pain was too much. As a teacher, you have to do PE, do different things. I didn't want to, even though I'd reduced my teaching, I'd gone part-time, and I just thought it was about time because my children were older. So with this reform group, so that's what we are. We're a set of people who sit down, talk about it, and then they invite other people. So and then we talked about the importance of talking about it.
And that's one thing that a lot of people, especially in our culture, we don't talk about what we're going through. And I just think that we need to keep talking a lot more about things.
Yes.
Ooh, thank you so much, Tayo. Before we go, I always like to end my podcast on a note of hope. So before we go, what can you say to anybody out there who might be going through cancer or dealing with a family member who's probably going through cancer or something? What can you say to just encourage people out there? Just
behind every shadow, what causes it is the sunshine. Look for the sunshine. There is always there. Look for it. Focus on that bright side, because what makes a bright side, that means there's a dark side. So yes, it's there. Don't deny the dark side, but please put your aim on the bright side, and it will get you through. And read.
Yeah. And you said something about some mantras. I don't want to forget that you made some mantras. Wait, just tell us some of those mantras quickly.
Oh my goodness.
Some of the things you were saying to yourself.
Oh my goodness, I did. Tayo, remember, anytime you feel low, there's dance.
Oh, I like that one.
Anytime you feel low, there's always dance.
Okay.
So, and there's another one. If you want to cry really hard.
And then you sleep.
And sleep. So that's it.
Oh, thank you so much. It's really been nice having you. We're probably going to have you back again sometime soon, just to give us more information about all the herbs and all the things you've learned on the way. I just want to ask one last question. What would you say that this experience of having cancer has taught you?
When I went and then told them in church, and they were like, "Oh, it's like a disadvantage." I said, "No, it was a wake-up call. It was a wake-up call for me to take my life more seriously." And there was one I said, "Tayo, you might be too late to become a billionaire." My sister says I shouldn't say so. I'm not, to be honest, at 54, I'm not too, if I look back, that's not the side I'm okay, I'm satisfied, I'm content. However, there's a health is wealth.
Health is
said,
wealth.
Remember that is your health. You're not too late, and never too late to get that kind of wealth. Health. Wow. So that I had to write it down, because I even actually talked to myself in third person. I was like, Tayo, I mentioned myself. I said, remember this. And I read this once every month. So I can remember, because it's not easy. People will say, you put this, eat broccoli, eat this, like we made the nice one. I say, it's not easy. It's not supposed to be easy. Is it doable? Yes. Is it good? Yes. Is it advantageous? Yes. So to be honest, all of this, I'm not saying everybody has to have breast cancer too, but I think God just knew I needed a wake-up call, because I was really skinny. I'd never ever thought I had to take care of my health. So sweets, everything I was eating, And when things hit me hard, life hits you, I let it hit me so hard that it got depression and all that. I think that's where it developed, because apparently by the time you find a lump, in your breast, it's been there for 5 years.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
So even that's if you can feel it. That's why the mammogram feels it first. So if they invite you for a mammogram, if you think you need one, fight for it. Get it done. And to be honest, some people are like, I don't want to know if it's there. It's curable. The earlier, the better. And deal with resources that you can do. But if you're in the UK, take advantage. Please don't go private. If you've got the money, don't leave the NHS because it's a wealth of resource. That's where so that's what I would say. So for me, it made me take my health seriously. We all sleep, and and I think it has made me see other women who had those kind of like-mindedness of lifestyle. I am so big on lifestyle. Now it's not about lifestyle is so much, and so big on distressing.
Distressing.
No
Don't let
stress.
anything stress you. Just be happy, laugh, and dance like Tayo.
Amen.
Thank you so much, Tayo. It's been really, really nice having you.
Thank
you so much.
My pleasure.
Thank you everyone for listening to Navigating the Chapters of Challenge with Tele. We've had a really interesting and I hope a very insightful conversation with Tayo today. And I hope that you all come back and listen to another podcast with us soon. Please, please, please subscribe to the podcast on YouTube. We're on YouTube now. Send us your comments, your questions. If you want to send us any questions, I'm sure Tayo will be happy to answer any questions. And support the show in any way you can. That would really be appreciated. So thank you so much, and hopefully we'll see you sometime soon. Take care and God bless.